Hello friends, how are you all? So I'm very happy to bring you this lesson, which is lesson number 13E. And you will notice one thing here, that the name of the lesson, the heading is very colorful because this is our 100th video of this particular lesson series, and that is why we are celebrating a century here. So I wanted to make it colorful, and I'm very sure that in these 100 videos you have learned a lot. Your concepts of economics for prelims especially, they have become clear, and you are enjoying learning. So in order to celebrate our 100th video, I have made it colorful. Okay, so I hope you will like it. Now let us continue with our topic, which is the international economic policy, which we have been discussing. This is the 5th video of this particular lesson. And in the previous video, we have studied about the different levels of trade agreements, right? Different levels of economic integration. We have talked about the preferential trade agreement. We have talked about the free trade agreement, etc. So friends, there was one thing pretty much in news in the last many years, which was the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, RCEP. So RCEP is in news, for the last many years. It was in news because it was very important economic policy, especially the foreign trade policy of India. And therefore it is, when you study all this preferential trade agreement, free trade agreement, a question must come into your mind as to what exactly was RCEP then, in which category does it fit into the economic integration, right? That question might come. So in order to explain to you that, I have made this video. So let us understand. You will get what exactly is RCEP when you watch this video, okay, and what is the current status, that also we'll discuss. And if any question comes from RCEP, you will be able to answer. Okay, so let us first start with the background of RCEP. So when we want to understand the any concept, as we already practice it, we try to look at the the terminologies, the phrases, the words that are used there. So see, regional comprehensive economic partnership. So regional comprehensive economic partnership, regional means what? It is the agreement between countries in a particular region. Okay, in a particular region, meaning it can be Asian region, American region, it can be Southeast Asian, it can be, okay, so it is a regional agreement. It is a multilateral agreement because it is between many countries in a given region. Okay, then comprehensive meaning, it is comprehensive means it is kind of holistic agreement. Okay, so it covers lot of topics. Okay, comprehensive means it covers a lot of topics. It is not just about trade in goods, but it is also about a lot of other things that we will discuss. And economic partnership, it is a kind of economic policy that that will lead to some kind of partnership between the member countries which will sign this agreement. So I hope you have understood the meaning of each and every word in the name of this RCEP. Now let us start the background. So see, for background, we first needs to understand that what is ASEAN. So ASEAN is Association of Southeast Asian Nations. Okay, Association of Southeast Asian Nations. Now what is Southeast Asia? Southeast Asia is basically the group of 10 countries which are in the Southeast Asia. Okay, so basically if you look at this, so I'll just try to draw a rough diagram here. So this is our Asia kind of. So our Asia is like this, something. Here is Japan, and here is Indonesia, here is Australia, here there is Africa, here there is North America, then here there is South America, something like this, right? Here there is Greenland, etc. So this is the world map. In this world map, if you look at this, this is our India. Okay, and here you will find this Southeast Asian countries. Okay, here there is Philippines, here there is Japan. So this region is known as Southeast Asia. Okay, which is just above Australia and just below India here in the southeast corner. So this is known as the Southeast Asian region. And there is a regional block, just like we have the SAARC for South Asia, there is ASEAN for Southeast Asia. Okay, so it is known as Association for Southeast Asian Nation, and it consists of 10 countries. Okay, so you can look at the name of the 10 countries by googling it. These 10 countries which constitute ASEAN has a free trade agreement with each of the following 6 countries. Now as a group, as a ASEAN group, this ASEAN group has signed a free trade agreement individually with these 6 countries. Okay, so ASEAN has a free trade agreement with China. ASEAN has a free trade agreement with Korea meaning South Korea, not North Korea. Then ASEAN has a free trade agreement with Japan. It has a free trade agreement with India. It has a free trade agreement with Australia, and it has a free trade agreement with New Zealand. So it has a free trade agreement with each of these 6 countries, and they are the individual free trade agreement. Okay, and notice that these countries are in the Indo-Pacific or Asia-Pacific region. So here, so India is here, right? China is here, Japan is here, Australia is here, New Zealand is also here. So all these countries are the countries of the Indo-Pacific region, which was previously known as Asia-Pacific region, because here there is Pacific Ocean and here there is Asian countries. So the countries which lie between the Asian mainland and in the Pacific Ocean, they are known as Asia-Pacific or Indo-Pacific regions, because Indian Ocean is also here. So all these countries are part of Indo-Pacific, and ASEAN countries, ASEAN as a bloc, they had an individual free trade agreement with each of these countries. Okay, now therefore the RCEP negotiations, the RCEP agreement was supposed to be signed between these 16 countries. So 16 countries meaning 10 countries of ASEAN. Okay, ASEAN 10 countries plus these 6 countries, So that is how the RCEP 16 countries are there. Now, what is the significance of the 16 RCEP countries? It consists of 40% of global population. Okay, in these 16 countries, 40% of global population live. Then it also produces 30% of global GDP, and more than 25% of exports are done from these 16 countries in the entire world. So this is the significance of these 16 countries, and if RCEP actually comes into force, every country abides by it, then it will lead to a lot of free trade and economic growth. That is what is expected if it comes into force. This is the information as of now I am giving you. Let us continue the video. In that we'll go further, what is happening, what is the current status, we'll get to know. Okay, so the partnerships of ASEAN with these 6 countries is individual. Okay, it is an individual partnership. Also, some of these 6 nations have bilateral trade agreements with each other also. Now what is happening, this ASEAN is having individual agreement with these 6 countries. Okay, so there is not a united agreement, there is not an integrated agreement. Also, some of these 6 countries may also have some bilateral free trade agreement with each other also. For example, there is a bilateral free trade agreement between India and Australia, for example. Okay, so there are so countries are talking to each other in a bilateral way. Also, ASEAN is talking individually to each of these countries. So then the leaders of these 16 countries thought, why not make a comprehensive and why not make a one single agreement in which it will be shared between all the 16 countries. So that was the main idea. This is the background. To deepen and broaden the engagement, RCEP was conceptualized. Okay, so that these leaders of the 16 countries thought that anyways we have individual agreements with each other, so why not let us make a comprehensive agreement, and it will build on the existing free trade agreements of ASEAN with these 6 countries. So already we have free trade agreement, we can add some more things, we can build on those, and that is how we can make a comprehensive regional agreement. I have already explained to you the meaning of word comprehensive. So comprehensive basically means that it will involve partnership not just in trade in goods, but also trade in services, investments, economic and technical cooperation, intellectual property, competition, dispute settlement, e-commerce, small and medium enterprises, etc. So see, so many different types of economic integration are expected to come out of RCEP. Now what happened? Let us look at the timeline. So in August 2012, that was the first time when the 16 economic ministers of the 16 countries, economic ministers meaning they can be the ministers which are looking after the commerce and foreign trade. So in our country it is the commerce minister. Okay, in our country it is the commerce minister. So these 16 economic ministers of the 16 countries, they endorsed the guiding principles and objectives for negotiating the RCEP. Now since this concept was conceptualized, whenever we are negotiating anything, we will set some ground rules, right? So guiding principles and ground rules have to be set. on what basis we will negotiate, what will be the conditions, on on what different aspects we will negotiate with each other, we will discuss with each other, and we will come out with an agreement. So in August 2012 they endorsed, meaning they accepted the guiding principles and objectives of the objectives for negotiating the RCEP. Then in November 2012, okay, just after 3-4 months, negotiations were launched in the Phnom Penh, Cambodia. So Phnom Penh is the capital of Cambodia. So this is pronounced as Phnom Penh. Okay, Phnom Penh. So this is how it is pronounced. It is the capital city of the country of Cambodia. Cambodia is one of the 10 countries of ASEAN. Okay, Cambodia is an ASEAN country. So in 2012, negotiations were launched in Phnom Penh, and negotiations actually commenced in early 2013. After 2 months, negotiations started. So negotiations, obviously it happens at officer level. Ministers, they simply they just go and discuss initially, and then after that the negotiations keep on continuing. So RCEP negotiations kept on continuing. After that, it formally commenced in early 2013. Then it went on, so many meetings happened, so many different forums happened, and negotiations happened. In November 2019, finally what happened, India withdrew from the RCEP negotiation. India said that I don't want to be part of RCEP as of now, okay, because of certain concerns. So one of the biggest concern was that India thought that the Chinese goods will flood the Indian markets, and we already have an imbalanced trade with China. So India was afraid that if we sign this RCEP agreement, it will open up our market freely for Chinese goods, and our trade deficit with China will further increase. Then domestic industry will not be able to compete with Chinese industries, with other industries. That was another concern. And failure of the agreement to adequately open up to services, because India has a competitive advantage, okay, comparative advantage when it comes to service trade. So we are good in services, we are good in business process outsourcing, we are good in IT software, whereas in goods China is better than us. So basically our advantage is in services, but what negotiations we wanted to do for services, for opening up for services, we could not achieve that. That's why India said that our terms and conditions are not getting accepted when it comes to services, and we cannot really accept the conditions for goods trade. So in November 2019, our honorable Prime Minister declared that India will withdraw from RCEP negotiations. Then the next year, on 15th November 2020, now see, why is this everything is happening in November? Because November is a time when there is this ASEAN forum that happens. Okay, this ASEAN forum happens. That's why all these meetings take place in November. So on 15 November 2020, after 1 year, the 15 participating countries, okay, so India has left, now the 15 countries are remaining. So the 15 participating countries leaders endorsed ministerial declaration on India's participation in RCEP. So these 15 countries accepted that, okay, India no longer wants to be part of RCEP, we accept that, we agree that, we respect that, okay, blah blah blah, something like that. So it recognized that India is not in position to sign RCEP. Okay, these 15 countries recognize that. That is known as declaration, ministerial declaration on India's participation in RCEP. Then further it said that RCEP agreement is open for accession by India from the date of entry into force. So they said if in future India wants to join RCEP, it can come and join. And once India submits a written request, RCEP members will commence negotiation with India. So India will have to submit a written request. Okay, I want to reconsider RCEP. I want to join RCEP. So let us again start talking to each other. Let us negotiate, okay, what we want. And India can participate in RCEP meetings as an observer. So even if India has left the negotiation as a member, but it can still participate in the meetings as an observer just to see what is happening. Okay. Now see, RCEP entered into force, okay, in out of these 15 countries, you see now the 15 countries are left. So the 10 participants, it entered into force on 1st January 2022. So last year it entered into force. So RCEP agreement is already in force. Okay, in the, these 10 countries have already ratified it, and it has entered into force on 1st January 2022. Then after 1 month, Korea ratified it. Korea, entered into force RCEP. Then on 4th March 2022, Myanmar ratified it. However, the ratification by Myanmar was opposed by Philippines. Philippines did not accept it because Philippines said that in Myanmar there is a military-led government, and military-led, the democratically elected government was outthrown by the military-led government, and therefore Philippines says that we will not accept this ratification. So therefore, the membership of Myanmar, or the force of RCEP in Myanmar is still questionable because one of their own members is not accepting it. And that is also the reason Philippines has not yet ratified it. It says that I will not accept the ratification by Myanmar, and till that point I will also not ratify it. And on 18 March, Malaysia ratified it, and on 22nd and just very recently on 2nd January 2023, Indonesia also ratified it, and it came into force into these countries. So you can see Philippines is the only country which has not yet ratified it, but RCEP has come into force in the rest of the countries. So currently you see RCEP has 15 countries, ASEAN 10 countries, plus these 5 countries, and so India is not here. So if we leave aside India, we'll see that still these countries account for 28% of global GDP, 28% of global trade, and 30% of global population. Okay, so it is still a very significant number when it comes to global GDP, trade, and population. So it is seen with a lot of hopes that it will lead to increase in world trade and exports and imports, and economic growth also, a lot of employment generation also. So many different things will happen. Let us see what India will do in the future, but as of now we are not part of RCEP. So that is the status today. So I hope you have understood RCEP. If you have any doubt, please ask me in the comment section. We'll continue international economic policy in the next video. Thank you.